Okay. So basically, okay, as you can see, we can have quite different opinions, but mm, you know what happens when when we don't define the words properly, we have this problem because we have to start with something very basic. What creativity is? Is it possible to define creativity? Well, you're going to have maybe a surprise, but psychologists, neurologists, they have studied creativity for a very long time. And you know what is happening? When we apply these principles, taxonomies, and definitions, yes, this is a statement, not a question. And something it is, well, you can have your opinion. Everyone has an opinion. But from the scientific point of view, as you're going to see, this is a statement, not a question. No, it is not under the umbrella of opinions. Or maybe you have a gap in the science to debate or to do something against very important papers in psychology and neurology that they have been studying for years. What is the underlying mechanism of creativity in the human beings? So maybe you have to discuss with them. Okay? So this is what we are going to talk about. Okay? So you know that what is my answer? Okay? Of course it is creative. It has been created for a while, and it has just started. So we are going to see that this idea we have about AI, that it is a tool, well, if you want to see it as a tool, it is. But we are starting to see the moment, we are living the moment where AI is no longer a tool. It's becoming something else. So welcome to this new paradigm of artificial intelligence. If you don't realize what is going on, it's time to change your mind. Because we have a new actor in the scene. We are not alone anymore. Does this mean that we are over as human beings? No, as we are going to see. Okay, I'm very positive. I'm very humanistic. Okay, but we have another actor. I am saying that the creativity of AI is equivalent to the human creativity. By no means, as you are going to see. We are going to define it as it is. Alternative creativity. Okay, and we are going to see why. And we are going to see that we have another actor. Another actor we can play with, we can cooperate with, but I'm going to lie to you if I say that it needs human interaction. No. And this is not going to be the case year after year. It's going to make its own path. Okay? It is going for sure to discover new things, new innovations in science, technology, and arts. It's another actor. Okay? Again, does it mean we are going to be useless? No. Okay? As we are going to see. Okay? Okay. So provocative. So I'm a member, I'm leading this research group. It is called Vertex Lead. And we work basically developing and researching in applications where we put artificial intelligence between people and the physical world or the digital world. So we are having quite a lot of work and some very interesting successful experiences helping people, basically. So if there's something we like quite a lot is to help people with special needs or education using AIs. You know that the physical world is really challenging for many reasons and the digital world. So we put AI in the middle. So you see, for example, the new generation of AR glasses or mobiles, or of course, all the tools we have from the present of AI, large language models, multimodal models, generative AI, etc. We try to help people to communicate better, etc., to learn better, okay? And our target, of course, is being more people with special needs, because this is a target, okay, a population with problems of exclusion, and AI is a before and after for them. And we have had very interesting, successful developments, okay? So this is things we do. For example, we started doing these kinds of things, you know, using Alexa, okay? That now is some sort of toy, you know, with people from using or having Alzheimer, the elderly people, we work quite a lot. As a matter of fact, we have a European project with also lab for 3 years where we are going to try to use AI to help professionals that deal with people that have mild cognitive impairment, the elderly people, okay? And how AI can make the life of the people that works in this field much comfortable and better, okay? So AI is really very human, okay? We are going to see that, okay? So we have been working with this kind of communicators, okay? With people with motor impairments, okay? So we are using EEGs in order to just looking at something, you can trigger an action, okay? And helping people on the left is one member of our group. On the right, you have a real girl, 16 years old, with very important problems, okay? And now she's able to do a lot of things, just looking at certain things, okay? Just that, okay? So this is a very beautiful area. Here, in this way, we have also Isabel, one member of my team. She's only 26 recently. She's about to present her PhD, okay, in artificial intelligence, and she's working quite a lot in order to make applications using augmented reality glasses in order to help the elderly people to be independent at home. Dignity. You know, sometimes when we think that we are going to put cameras at home and we are going to monitor people, we think that, oh, the elderly people are delighted because they want to be independent and they want to have extra help. They don't want to call their relatives, their children. They want to live alone as much as they can. And they are more than happy, of course, with the regulation and, of course, without any kind of external image or information leak or whatever, to be controlled by an AI, to interact using voice, and to have cameras and to detect whatever strange pattern, okay, is worth sending a warning to the relatives, for example, this kind of reminders, to have a conversation even, okay? Something that it's very controversial, you know? You know that using character AI or these kinds of applications, or recently Grok, you can activate Annie in Grok and you can have, well, you know, try it, okay? And you can have a very, let's say, sexualized even experience, okay? Very controversial. In this field, we have no problems at all, okay? Because we are helping people. We are using responsible AI, we call it, okay? So So we have a lot of these experiments. This is for people from Norway. We have more than 250,000 downloads of an application that helps people in Norway, children in Norway, with special needs to learn maths and reading and writing. And this is the last thing we have done, where children that have very limited also problems, mobility problems, they can control the game just by little movements and things like that, okay? And recently, that was in 2 months ago, we were in the national media in Spain. We are 48 million people. So for us to be in the prime time talking about that was very important. But we are carrying out a project where we are cloning voices of those who have lost their voice. Okay, their voices. Responsible, ethical use of voice cloning. Okay, you can imagine the fakes, cloning, and all the problems we have. But for people with ALS, okay, this is Fran Vivo, we were able to clone his voice, but to a degree you cannot imagine, okay, using WhatsApp's audios, okay? You can find these kind of services, clone voices, in a lot of platforms, but what we did, of course, is to taking care prosody, accent, the specific way stops, or what kind of words even, or pauses, etc., the pace, the rhythm. So we took everything into account, and now we are very close to get rid of what we call uncanny valley, okay, which is to get closer but not enough, okay? And you cannot believe how many people are interested in the project, and we are overwhelmed. We are about to create a spin-off company just to help us, because as a research group we cannot. Okay. So okay. So again, let's talk about defining things. Okay, let's focus on the topic. Okay. If I have asked you about creativity and you have different point of views, if it is AI creative or not, you know that there are many people that say AI is not intelligent, okay? And we have the same problem. The problem is that we don't have a canonical or consensual definition of intelligence. You have it in the dictionary. In the Finnish dictionary, in the Spanish dictionary, we have a definition of intelligence. But we don't agree, okay, on this definition. And it is a bit annoying for us. For the people who, like me, work with AI for many years, as far as we reach something in AI, many people say, yes, but this is not truly intelligent. True intelligence means to do this. 1, 2 years after we achieve it, and they say, no, true intelligence is, and you say, oh my, like a kind of dial, okay? So the definition of intelligence, there are people pushing it, okay, towards where they feel confident in order to say that by no means AI is intelligence at all. So you are maybe familiar with stochastic parrots and these kind of things, talking about ChatGPT, okay? Okay. So yes, it is intelligence, okay? Because I'm behaviorist. I don't mind what's in the other side. I'm for Alan Turing, okay? A very important man, you know. There are movies and very important in computer science, okay? Where you are maybe familiar with the Turing tests, concept, and so on, okay? So I don't mind what I have in the other side. I pay attention to what happens? It's really funny because some people, they say, no, it's not true intelligence. It is mimicking intelligence. And I say, "Huh? Mimicking? Yes, it's mimicking or imitating intelligence." And I say, what? So if I'm able to mimic or imitate intelligence in front of you, so you cannot, in front of any benchmark test, etc., I really good mimicking intelligence, maybe I'm intelligent, or what's that? No, because it's soulness. And I say, whoop, let's stop the conversation. We are talking here, and here we are going to talk about science. So if you have dogmas, if you're a believer or whatever, of course, that's more than natural, or I respect that. As you can imagine, I'm not. But I respect that. But I'm not going to be talking about that here. I'm going to be talking about science, what science says about it, or what we see, or what we have in front of our experimental and mathematical results. So you know that there's a very important debate here, okay? Are we machines and only machines? Are we something else as human beings? Are we similar, not? Well, so very difficult. So the problem with the definition of the word is something common we have in other words here, you know? Reasoning, thinking. You cannot imagine the debate you can find in X, Twitter, or whatever platform, if ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, they think or they reason or not, you cannot imagine. And the problem is the same. If we first do not agree with what think is, what reasoning is, we can be talking for hours. And of course, we are not going to reach to any point. The first thing we have to agree is with the definition of that. And I'm behaviorist, okay? So I, as a scientific man, as a researcher, oh my, this is what I see. This is what I get. This is the results. When I benchmark humans and AI, this is what I get. Call it whatever you want. It's not thinking, it's not reasoning. Define it in another way, but people are having problems with that. Those that are pushing that no creativity, no thinking, no reasoning, as you are going to see, you can have this opinion, but you're going to see it's going to be more and more complex, okay? To at least, and even very difficult from a scientific point of view, okay? Which means that this is not going to change. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm saying what science has discovered so far, which is different, okay? Okay. So avoid dogmas, okay? And indeed, I'm going to avoid them here. You can have them, of course. Who I am to tell you what to think about your personal ideas and beliefs, of course, okay? But I'm going to focus on science, okay? Which means that we have a lot of things we don't know yet, as you know, okay? So we are far from having the ultimate answers to anything, okay? Okay, that's funny. Who knows this? I'm sure that in the Simpsons series, some of you remember, okay, there was a very funny, okay, scene about this, okay? Who knows the infinite monkey theorem, okay? Who knows that? It says that, no,
basically like this concept where like if the monkey, for example, keeps on reproducing a certain text or every letter is like eventually it will like reproduce something like Shakespeare's text.
That's right.
Yes.
It's funny, mathematically speaking, if we put one monkey, okay, hitting the keyboard as a monkey without any background, intelligence, or whatever, okay, if we wait enough, by chance, it is going to write the complete works of Shakespeare. The problem is how long you have to wait. This is the problem. But let's put more monkeys. Okay, so imagine that instead of one monkey, we use 200,000 monkeys, 1 million monkeys, 10 million monkeys. Okay, what happens, of course, is that mathematically speaking, this probability is not zero. It's very, very low, depending on if you're asking for the complete Shakespeare works, just a sentence, okay? The probability, as you can see, differs quite a lot, and the amount of time required to see that the monkey finally, by chance, writes an English sentence that makes sense, okay? So it depends on that. You have to wait more or less. But the probability is non-zero. We cannot say it's impossible. It's possible. It's just a question of waiting. How much? This is the problem. This is the problem. But this is very interesting, okay? This is very interesting. This is the infinite monkey theorem, okay? This is very interesting. Why? Let's talk about painting, or designing, illustration, Well, you can agree with me that we can reduce the problem of the monkey theorem to an image, no? For example, 1024 times 1024. True color. How many combinations we have? It's a finite number. Very large, but it's a finite number, which means, believe it or not, every single thing a human being can draw in the past, in the present, in the future, okay, is a subset of this number. So creativity, you can imagine that it is limitless. Well, mathematically speaking, it's not. It's large, very large, but mathematically speaking, it's not. It is very large because just in the universe, we have 2 to the power of 80 atoms. And here we are talking about 2 to the power of 24 times 1 million. So the number of possible images we can generate is much more than the number of atoms in the universe. So, right. So this is very interesting because creativity, AI, so imagine AI is trying to get or to achieve the creativity of the human beings, We think that this is a journey, which means to add, to add. No, basically it's to subtract from this potential random generator. So we can create a random generator, okay, of images. And this random generator of images, sooner or later, is going to create something beautiful. How long we have to wait? Too much. But theoretically speaking, to the question, AI is creative, you have the answer. Yes. It's a question of waiting. Oh, but Jordi, you're cheating us. Waiting more than the life of the universe, But theoretically speaking, philosophically, scientifically speaking, the question if AI is able to be creative or not, yes. Random image generator is creative. It's a question of waiting. It's a question of waiting. How long? A lot. What happens when you are a designer, illustrator, etc.? You are narrowing the search space. What makes you focus on something that probably is going to be appreciated by other humans. But you're narrowing, okay? So in AI, we start from the point that it is creative, but waiting for a time span we cannot afford. So we have also to narrow that. How? Injecting knowledge, architecture, techniques, the transformation of neuroscience into maths, cloning what we have in our head, cloning our learning activities, etc. But you have here the answer. Is AI creative? It is. However, you have to wait. Now the problem is, now, 2026, is it creative without having to wait for infinite time? This is another story. We are going to see it, okay? You understand? You are following me, okay? See or no? Aye, yes or not? Okay. Hitos. So it's not expanding what is possible. It's narrowing the exploration space. Maybe you have never thought about that, but it's the opposite, okay? It's from random noise production, okay, to produce something is not Gaussian noise, like watching the old TVs, you remember our CRT TVs, So we have to do something different, okay? Of course, okay? And this is what we are doing. Why I'm teaching this if I'm focusing on helping people? Because we use generative AI every day. Okay, so I'm very familiar with that. And I'm teaching in the university in the master degree and in our AI degree. I'm teaching all the mathematical details. I'm able to develop, believe me, from scratch, one of these AI models that allows you to create images, okay? And I know perfectly what's going on inside, okay? And this is why I'm talking about this, okay? Because this is an area I like quite a lot because we use generative AI for everything, okay? And it has already started. You cannot imagine what is coming, okay? I'm very, I spent 2-3 hours per day for sure just reading what appears every day in this direction, in the field of AI. You cannot imagine how many talented people are working on this field. We have in our university a new campus in China. We opened it in July in Hangzhou, okay? And we were in Hangzhou. I was there and I'm going to be teaching there. We are, is it being recorded? We are screwed up. We are fucked up. We cannot compete with China. No, forget it. Okay, the battle is lost. Is that clear? Okay. Why? Because now this is boosted by human talent. And believe me, they have a lot. They have many, like mushrooms. Okay, they have a lot of people and they are very good. Okay, I was in the teaching there and I said, oh my, woof, oh, woof. Yeah, very, very, very incredible. Okay, So let's see some experiences, okay, that maybe you are familiar with, okay? For example, I like this. Well, I have to say that the only thing I'm good or I'm out of, or I'm in arts is in music. So I work with, we have the Faculty of Fine Arts in our university. So I cooperate quite a lot with them now with AI. Half of the Faculty of Fine Arts hate us. The other half, they are starting to tolerate us. You know, it's a very, and we have 2 or 3 professors that say, yes, yes, yeah, yes, yes, 2 or 3. But it's changing. It's changing quite a lot. It's changing. So in music, I I have my Spotify music. Um, my wife is even my wife is not following me, but I'm happy. I have fun. Okay, I like minimalistic music. People from 70s, 80s like Philip Glass, Michael Nyman, Wim Mertens, Max Richter. And I like now with Suno AI. Have you used Suno AI? No? My goodness. Where are you? You are not using Suno to make music? My goodness. I will show you if we have time. And it is fantastic, okay? Because now it's not just a question of prompting, okay? So it's not a question that you say, give me a piece of a song or music or blah, 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 blah. No, you can sing a bit, you can whistle, you can, and then this can be also used with a prompt in order to produce music in a specific style, okay? So I can spend one afternoon composing, let's say, because I have in my family one very good composer. And when I say to him that I'm composing, he looks at me saying, you are what? Composing? You call that composing? So this is the debate, you know? Is it a prompt to just throw a prompt to be creative? Wow, I'm sure that here we are going to have, you know, a debate. Is it art to just click a button and take a picture? Photographers, any photographer in the room? Is photography art? And you are going to say, it's not just to click a button. No, at all. Well, with prompting is the same thing. 2026, okay? 2026. And I can show you things I like. Totally generated by AI, but with people that with a artistic background. So nothing here is real. There are things, it has things I like quite a lot, okay? So let me change to a complete screen again. Okay, So there's another artist I like quite a lot, Kelly Boesk. This doesn't mean that you have to have my same taste, of course, okay? But this woman, I like this woman. She's not that woman, okay? This is just the picture. She has a very traditional artistic background. She was a painter and very formal training, you know, and she's still doing that, okay? But she started to discover AI, and she started to do things like this, okay?
There are rooms inside my skin, each one humming a small machine of fear. I drink the air too quickly.
The process she follows generally is to use Midjourney or Flux or
my
now
pose
Nano
folds in a
Banana,
paper
something like that,
cranes,
to generate some
fluttering
visual
against the walls of
and then to
thought.
use
Every
AI video model.
heartbeat is a
The music
confession. I
is
didn't mean
generated
to
using
write.
So the music is not real.
Hold my breath like currency.
There's no singer.
The clock stares, I'm
instrument.
blinking. A jealous god
AI
of
generated.
seconds. I wanna melt into a softer element, something without edges, without needing to explain
Okay.
its shape. Anxiety.
You can see
Where's my perfume? It moves through me like silk catching
you
fire.
can see another example, okay, from her that I like. Okay, this one, for example. You see much more, let's say, a mixed between reality and kind of artificial touch, using
I find it funny how life
color
is
degrees.
so beautiful and full of love.
The music is
I find it
Okay.
funny how life
using
is so cruel and so tough. But oh, I'm golden in the sun. I'm so glad that I can breathe. I love
Perfect.
air.
I like the music.
I'm so happy.
But you can look for her, okay? And there's another one I like quite a lot. You see that she has many, and she's living now. But this I like it quite a lot because this is you know, if this is a very good example of AI bias. You know what is AI bias? You know it has been generated by AI, and immediately there are people that say, I don't like it. No matter what I don't like it. I don't like it. This is why we evaluate using blind tests. We say, I'm going to show you things generated by AI and things generated without AI. What do you think was generated by AI or not generated by AI? What things you like the most, etc. Okay? Without knowing it. Because believe me, if I tell you this is AI generated, you are looking for hallucinations or immediately I say, there's, you know, it's like, for example, if I show you a picture of Donald Trump, telling you that it is Donald Trump, you are going to have a bias. Immediately, you are not, personally, I'm not interested at all of a picture of Donald Trump. Okay, no matter if he is the new Leonardo da Vinci, which is not the case, okay? So we have these biases. This is normal. I'm not saying change it. Well, it could be good, okay? But this is normal. We all have biases and stereotypes. We are humans, okay? Why I say to you, because I have shown videos of this, including this, and people were not able to distinguish what was AI generated or not. Me knowing is this AI generated, I detect it immediately. There are some scenes, some shots where I say, I got it. I got you. Okay, it's AI. Look it. Read it.
I don't wanna hear it. When it comes to opinions, I have enough of my own. I don't wanna read it. When it comes to the news, I have too much on my phone. I'm all full up, so full up. I need a minute to tune out, turn down. Don't need a reason to lay low. Go slow, go slow.
Music is
I need a
okay.
minute to tune out, turn down. Don't need a reason to lay low. Go slow, go slow.
Very beautiful shot.
Go slow.
There are shots that are very good. This is
Go
also
slow.
quite good. I like this one also. This is
All
quite
these
obvious sometimes.
notifications popping up in my
The hair is
brain.
nice,
It's
you know.
too much to take, and I have to tell you I love you, but I can't help you. I need to step
Okay, you can watch them,
away. I'm all full of
What's your opinion? Okay. Again, I think, believe me, make the test. If you show it to someone not saying it is AI generated, or you say it is AI generated and see the reaction, you're going to see that sometimes you are going to detect this bias. Okay, they are going to say, ah, yes, that's quite obvious. And so there are some. Anyway, you know that this is just the very beginning. If you think a generative AI is mature, no, we have just started. This is just the very beginning. ChatGPT, November last year, 3 years. We have just started. If you think that this is the pinnacle of what we can do, if you were with me in China, July, this is just the very beginning, okay? The very beginning. Are these bad news? What do you think? Who thinks this is bad news? Be free, okay? Well, at least it's different news. I mean, it's a new paradigm, okay? But I don't know. I mean, if you are a creator and you want to do this, how much money you need to do this clip? If you're a creator and you have very good ideas, you need to be in Hollywood? No. And very soon, you will be able to do your own movies and even more if you have good ideas. Bad news. For some people, bad news. For some businesses, very bad news. For illustrators that live for small projects, etc., designers, etc., bad news. For Hollywood empire, bad news too. For young creators, people with new ideas, good news. So it depends on. I cannot say that.
So people who have learned to illustrate by hand, it's bad news.
Yes.
But people that don't have the skill but want to just generate something based on other people's works, it's good news. And that whole thing is good news.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I don't.
That's good. Okay,
It's like
that's good. You know, sometimes what happens to me, I have faced illustrators who said, this is bad news, we are going to, and I say to them, we are going to see it, okay? We have 3 hours. Oh, 2 hours only. I have to speed up. So I'm going to show you that AI is good news in general, okay? Very good news in general, because we are talking about health, we are talking about sustainability, energy, we are talking about many things. And AI It's good news. But you know what happens? Sometimes I have illustrators that they say bad news, because for us it's very bad news. And I have been in the Faculty of Fine Arts, and this is bad news, and they come. And I say, and immediately I see people going home, and when they have to prepare the taxes, to pay the taxes, they go to ChatGPT. You know?
Question 10
Okay.
for you.
Wow. Yeah. Oof, madre mia. We are not going to finish today. Oli, book another classroom tomorrow. Because I say that it doesn't mind if we decide to put the label AI generated or not. It's useless. Because I was in the Faculty of Fine Arts. The professors, they said, I know, in my case, I'm free of this, because they have to paint in traditional format. And I say to them, they are generating the images using Gemini or using Midjourney, and the only thing you have to do is to clone the technique in order to put it into paper or into a frame. And there are people doing that in the Faculty of Fine Arts. So you generate something with AI, and you touch one pixel. You change the color of this pixel. Is still AI generated? 99.99, no? 2 pixels. Okay, 3 pixels. What is the moment in which the changes you do in Photoshop are worth saying that it is something not, or what happens? If you generate something, let's put in the other side, you generate something, just a little detail with AI. The remainder of the work is yours. We have to put a label. For in the AI Act, our regulators, they say yes. And you just, what? You're not fucking understanding anything. It's very difficult. You can generate something in AI, you can be an illustrator, and you put your work and you fine-tune a model. This is something I do quite a lot. And then this model is able to generate illustrations using your specific style, your unique style, and you can do it locally.
Why would I do that? Why wouldn't I?
Because you have to have a salary by the end of the month. This is the reason.
So it's capitalism simulator.
Capitalism simulator sometimes, yeah. This is the thing. I have not created the world. What can we do?
Creative AI then go on ChatGPT to do their taxes. So
Yes.
I think that, we should use AI to do the tedious tasks for us so that us humans can focus on being creative.
Okay.
I don't really see the connection. Sure, we can.
I'm going to explain it to you. When you are solving the taxes, you know what is happening? Python code is generated internally, and it generates even a spreadsheet with the results you have to paste. I'm teaching in computer science. I have 12 students studying programming, and they are going to be without work because it is able also to program. So who puts the limit of what has to be done with AI or not? Because you can feel very interested as a traditional illustrator that just by putting your work, some ideas, some sketches, an incredible website appears and you say, wow. And you don't think that we are all creators. Creators is not only the artistic people. I'm a programmer, and ChatGPT is able to program because it has read my work as well. I'm also a creator. You are all creators. So I want my compensation also. Pay me. Because it seems that the creators are only illustrators, designers, and we have to say, no, 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 we can use, but not with that, not with that, not with that, because my poor students that are now in the other floor, 12 of them that I have been teaching them programming, and it is useless now. What we do with them? We say to you that taxes are not allowed to be made with ChatGPT. And then you want to do a recipe for food or whatever. And a cook is going to say, no, and no. So everything you can do in front of ChatGPT or whatever tool, you're going to have a collective saying, ChatGPT is able to do that because of us. Or what do you think this information comes from? From the knowledge of the human. The humanity is the crystallization of the knowledge of all the humanity. When we are discussing intellectual property, we have to be paid for every single token or image to the creators. And I say, what? We are all creators. These models have read all the possible information in the internet. I want also my part per token, per word generated ChatGPT. 0.00000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000 1 euro that I wanted. Is it possible, as we are going to see? No, even we cannot implement it. We cannot implement it. You see, the problem is dramatic. You're going to see. Okay. This is the thing. Let's go faster. Oof. People say many things about AI because you don't know what AI is. Another question. Okay, I'm challenging you. I'm not, you can disagree with me, okay? Of course, and I appreciate that, okay? So feel free to put me into the corner, okay? After the lesson, we can have a beer. But here you can put me in the corner. Okay, so who uses ChatGPT? Most of you, or Gemini, or something like that, no? My question is, ChatGPT is a program. You know that there are open models. Do you know that there are open models? Models that you can download. China is leading that. You can download them, install it locally, and to do 80, 90% of what ChatGPT is able to do. In this computer, my MacBook Pro with 64 gigabytes, I have here very powerful models. I'm able to generate, I have models similar, 90% the power of ChatGPT, and I have image and video and music generators. Locally, open models. When I generate something with this model, no one receives a compensation. OpenAI, Google, Meta, open models. Some of them trained, decentralized. My computer is involved from time to time in a network of people that we use our computers to train new models without a data center. So we are the owners, which means everyone is the owner. So the artist that wants a compensation because someone is earning money because they are paying a subscription to Midjourney or ChatGPT or Meta or whatever. This is not the case in open models. Another problem. AI Act, they don't know how to deal with this. Because if you have Meta, Google, you can go to them and say, yeah, hello. But what happens with open, uncensored, decentralized trained models, open models? Do you think there are barriers? No. So we are going to see what happens here, okay? What happens here. And the problem here is that the thing you are skipping many times is learning. This is the word. This is what we have achieved in artificial intelligence. Learning. In ChatGPT, there's a file. You can install it, something similar in your computer. And believe me, there's no text. No text. You are in front of ChatGPT, you send a prompt and you receive an answer, right? In this program, there's no text. Not a single sentence. Midjourney, Nano Banana Pro, Google, Flux, whatever model generating images, it has no images. Not a single one. Can you believe that? Believe it. Because if I open your head and I inspect your brain, I'm knowing to find an image. But you are able to paint, to speak, to make music. We are the music. We are the images. Have you ever wondered where your knowledge and skills are in your head, in your brain? We have cloned that. So the training elements used in order to make artificial neural networks learn are not in the model. It is not a database. It is not stealing. I'm sorry. It is not copying. I'm sorry. If you don't understand that, you are missing the point. Let's try to see it. Okay? This is the difficult thing. We have 86 billion neurons in American, thousands of millions European. You feel unique as an entity, you know? We all feel that we are just me, no? No, no. You are 86,000 million of little processing units called neurons, highly interconnected, that work in parallel, transmitting information between them and processing this information. We have cloned that. Where the information, your skills, your long-term memory, your ability as a painter, musician, writer, where it is in your brain, you're not going to find a single area or neuron that holds this information as you think it is. It is not a file or something like that. You are going to see it, okay? And this is what we have cloned. This is the problem. The problem is that artificial neural networks learn skills. Are they able to memorize? And you're not able? Of course they can memorize things. When you look at them, quite a lot of times. Can you? Are you able to do like Gioconda? Many of you, I'm sure, more or less. Why? more or less, Mona Lisa, more or less. Why? Because you have seen it a lot of times. Maybe, you know? So artificial neural networks can memorize, yes, but this is not how we design them. This is not the objective. We design them to learn skills, patterns, as we do, because if not, they cannot generalize. You cannot produce new things, creativity. This is the thing. If it were a database of images that in front of one of your prompts makes some kind of regurgitation or transformation of the image, blah, blah, a piece of image from there, a piece of image from there, a piece of image from this man, but people, blah, 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 transformation, blah. No, you cannot get anything interesting from that. This does not work. We have cloned the artistic ability of a painter, musician, writer. Believe it or not, this is what is happening. Yes. So we are this. No single command center. We are massive processing thing. We have a parallel architecture. Again, if you have dogmas, if you think you are more than that we have a soul or we have, this is up to you. Neuroscience, so far, hasn't found anything yet, okay? Which doesn't mean it is not going to happen, okay? How will you learn things? Well, we learn things based on many different principles, okay? Our brain is incredible. I'm not saying to you that artificial intelligence is better than our brain. The brain is incredible. Don't underestimate your brain. It's an incredible, unique piece of technology that maybe we will not be able to clone or to emulate totally, never. Who knows? It's incredible. How we learn, we have different mechanisms of learning, okay? You know that we can make connections constantly of neurons. We can even have neurogenesis. We can create new neurons. But the most important element we use, it is called this, the synaptic neuroplasticity. When you do something, when you learn something, what happens? Imagine that I want to learn to play piano. So I look at the keyboard, okay? And what happens? The signal goes to my visual cortex on my back, okay? So I see the keys, and I see the score, the script, and I say. So we start to make connections between one area of our brain and another area of our brain that controls my hands and my fingers. And what happens? These connections are not very good at the beginning. We have them. We are connected. I see an object and I'm able to take it, you see? But the degree of good quality connections is not there. We have to learn by practicing, you know, hundreds, thousands of hours, years, okay? And what happens? The neurons are receiving, one neuron in your head receives potentially thousands of results of other neurons in the dendrites. They make a little calculation and they send this information to potentially thousands of other neurons. And you know what happens? The neuron can pay more or less attention to their inputs, to its inputs. Based on what? Repetition and learning. So your skills, long-term memory, your abilities the majority of that is encoded as how much importance each of your 86 billion neurons pays to the input they receive in the little calculation they do in order to transmit this information to others. Wow. We have cloned that. Okay. We have cloned that. So learning. So the encoding of most of the abilities you have is because of that. Okay, this is called the Hebbian learning. Okay, because of Donald Hebb in 1949, something like that. That was discovered. Okay, because maybe you have never asked yourself where your memory is or your abilities are codified in your brain. But yeah, it is not in the air. Neuroscience is providing a lot of light on that. And making the things difficult to make compatible to have a physical brain and a spirit or soul. But it is not physical, huh? After they is making the things much more troublesome. Okay? So we have to do that, what you have there. What we have in computers? Well, I'm very good at maths. I'm a PhD in computer science. I teach artificial intelligence. I'm very good at maths. What we have? Maths. So we approximate one neuron to one mathematical function. That's all. And the Hebbian learning process, this mechanism in which the consideration of the inputs of a neuron changes because of the process of learning, we simulate it using numbers. The inputs of one artificial neuron are multiplied by a number. We call it parameter. Are you familiar with the number of parameters of the models? Those are the parameters. Okay? So we are cloning digitally the brain somehow. Are they the same thing? By no means. We have electrical, bioelectric information in our neurons. We have a lot of mysteries. There are a lot to discover about our brains. But somehow we are in front of something similar, a complex system, a connectionist system, that in front of a complex problem, instead of aborting the problem as a single CPU, we have in our brain 86,000 billion neurons that in front of this problem, little processes solves the problem. You are that. And we do that in artificial neural networks. However, it's different because the information we are transmitting in an artificial neural network are numbers and mathematical calculations. In our brain, electrochemical reactions. And it's an analogic signal. And here we are in the current artificial neural networks, digital numbers. However, what we are discovering, oh my, is that so far, there's no formal proof that the current artificial neural networks are less powerful than we are. We don't have this proof. Maybe we find it. Maybe we find something in our brain that we say, oops. Some people say, Roger Penrose, Nobel Prize, that we have some quantum processes in our brain. Well, maybe. Anyway, quantum computing is a reality. So we don't see a wall anyway. Let's see what happens. So that started in the 40s, last century. This is not new. it is not new. And we have very similar things, different things, but quite important similarities. This is why I introduced to you something, and I'm sure you are not going to disagree with me. I'm an AI researcher and professor. I don't like the name artificial intelligence. I don't like it at all. The artificial thing is like Satanas has come to put something into the table or something like that. No, it's human knowledge. It's human in the background, in the training. No, I call it alternative intelligence. Call it alternative intelligence because this is what it is. It's different to us now, and it will be. But this doesn't mean it is less powerful or more powerful. No, it's a jagged intelligence. Right now, 2026. If you're in front of ChatGPT, you can discover that it is much better than you in 1,000 things. But you are going also to discover that you are better than ChatGPT in other 1,000 or 10,000 things. Why? Because we are different intelligences, alternative intelligences. We have an intersection, a complex system, a connectionist system. And we are discovering, you cannot imagine, incredible things. I work with neuroscientists, and when we get images from an fMRI, magnetic resonance, and we are able to see the processes when we are thinking and what are the paths of activations and how the shape, the geometry of the neural correlates, we call that. You know what is going on now? What is happening? That we find similar patterns in the artificial neural networks using maths and very different principles as the ones we use in our brain. But there's an intersection, a clear intersection. But we are different, and we will be. This is why I'm insisting. This is not necessarily bad news, because we have elements that make us unique, and this is going to be forever. Okay? But pay attention. An alternative intelligence is here. An alternative creativity is here. And what it is more important, we can work together if you want or not. You can use traditional art. You can, moreover, traditional art is going to be put into value. Theater, live music. When Garry Kasparov lost in 1997, he said, chess is over. My son, who is now here also in this, he plays chess. We haven't seen so many people playing chess, and only my mobile is able to beat all the people in the tournament at the same time, concurrently. Why they are playing? Because we are humans. And we like humans, or not. Why we go to live music? Because we like this connection. You know, I come from where paella is, you know paella? Okay. So I don't have my mother with me, okay? I lost her 3 years ago, but even in the case, a paella of my mother is atom by atom cloned by another cook. The fact that this paella comes from my mother makes me, for sure, enjoy more the paella of my mother. I'm not believer, but I'm in this ship, okay? But it's becoming very fat lately. But I'm spiritual. There's no contradiction of that. And we humans, we like that. And we will always like that. So don't be worried. Oh, of course, there's going to be a transformation in many areas you cannot imagine. But we will always appreciate human interaction, human art, live interaction, live performances, live music, a hug, a kiss. You don't kiss too much here, but we kiss quite a lot in Spain. We are all the time kissing, okay? Okay, so this is what we have done. Okay, we have cloned this, and it works. Believe me, it works. Huh? It works. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but it works. Okay, this is one neuron. But we use many neurons, okay? A cascade of neurons, okay? An artificial neural network. In 2024, we have 2 Nobel Prizes to 2 computer scientists in physics and chemistry. In the physics, one is because the man who solved mathematically how to train these artificial neural networks, okay? So how to make artificial neural networks learn to change the weights, the parameters, how important the input is. You know how ChatGPT is created? We create architecture, but it starts knowing nothing. It has to learn. An image generator, you start with the architecture. It knows nothing. It has to learn. And how we do that? How you do that? How? Listening by examples. Listening. How do you learn Finnish? Are you with 1 year, 2 years studying grammar? No. You listen by example. As a matter of fact, there's no option. It's the only way. How we call that? Induction. We learn from examples. We are an incredible machine, our brain. And from examples, we create a pattern. A model here, we get the pattern, so we create a model. And with this model, we are able to make predictions or generate new information. We do the same here. Okay? So we have to fit ChatGPT neural network with as much text as we can. No one has taught ChatGPT Finnish or how to translate from Finnish to English. It has learned it by reading. I'm not going to explain to you how. Mathematically speaking, it's called self-supervised learning. It's interesting to know how it works, okay? But no explicit programming under the shell. It's not a traditional program. It's cloning what happens in our brain. And to train a model like this takes months and millions of dollars in energy, because it has to read or to watch thousands of images. And what happens? What remains? What it remains in your head. If I open your head, what I find? Neurons. And where is the information? Codified, looking at the neurons to how much importance each of these neurons pays attention to the others. For this neuron, twice attention. This neuron, half attention. Those are my inputs. In this way, is codify your knowledge and skills. Yes? And this is what we do here, but numerically. So no, there's no text in ChatGPT. We have a dictionary, about 100,000 words, tokens, we call them. And this is what you have, not a single sentence. In Midjourney, or the open models to generate images I have in my computer installed, no images, it's a file. You're not going to find a single image. But I'm able to generate a finished landscape, lacty, lake, whatever, and you're going to boom, boom, boom. It has learned to paint. You like it or not? In a different way, because we have to learn it in our lifespan. Okay? Here millions of images. This makes this alternative intelligence and creativity, because AI is much better than us in creativity and intelligence in some areas. But we are here. We are living. We have emotions. We learn as we learn. We connect our learning with our emotions, experiences, etc. We are connected to the physical world. We can experiment, you see? I can see what happens. ChatGPT knows what is going to happen because it has read it. It's not the same to read and to experience. But this is 2026. This is not a wall, as you know. If you follow robotics, you know that this is not a wall. This is going to happen, and it is happening right now. When I was in China, believe me, they were training robots to do things like this. How? Making the robots to interact with the physical environment to say, okay, I got it. So if you think that this advantage of being in the physical world is something is going to be forever, no. Bad news. Again.
Question, but isn't ChatGPT LLM instead of an ANN?
Well, the thing is that because the architecture we have is an artificial neural network, ChatGPT, but this is very important. As we are not 86 billion of neurons, and that's all, a set of them, and we have architecture, and we have organization, no? We do the same in artificial neural networks and AI. We create architectures, and we make intelligence decisions on how to organize the neurons. Cloning or not, what we find in neuroscience. And ChatGPT is called large language model, LLM, because basically the objective of a large language model is to make prediction of what is the most likely word that comes next. And in order to make a solution of that, we use an architecture called Transformer, 2026. Okay? So this is amazing. We are trying to do what we have in our brain. You know that in our brain we have a lot of different parts, you know? With architectures are really complex. Really complex. As a matter of fact, we don't understand them totally, okay? The best neuroscientists, they say that we are half the way in the understanding of our brain. There is still a lot, okay? We don't understand, and they are researching, okay? And they are very different architectures, okay? We are doing the same. This is not ChatGPT. This is very simple. A lot of neurons in columns, okay? In layers we call. No. The architectures we are using in order to generate images, music, etc. Master degree. We teach that in master degree. And you need to have computer science degree, mathematical degree. If not, you cannot start studying the complexity of what is inside. You cannot imagine how much talent, human talent, is in the architectures, okay? This is the problem. That maybe sooner than we expect, the new architecture is not going to be created by a human. This is the problem. The problem is that many people, there's a lab in Japan very good at that, and they are working they are called Sakana with K, that they are working on that the next architecture complex architecture of an artificial neural network is going to be created by an artificial neural network. And this new architecture is going to be so complex that no human being is going to be able to understand it. Even the best mathematicians in the world. And in this moment, we call it, are you familiar with that? Singularity. The moment where we are going to be spectators and no longer the leaders of anything. Okay? Demis Hassabis, the other Nobel Prize in chemistry, says that this can happen in 5 to 10 years. Have you listened well? This can happen in 5 to 10 years. And this means that we are going to be basically useless in scientific discoveries, which doesn't mean we are going to be useless. Because as I tell to you, I like live music. I like theater. I like handmade things. I like you draw something for me. I appreciate that. Because this is very important. In arts, for example, the product is not only the thing we put value to. The process is also important. What's behind this artistic piece matters. So I can generate an image that seems to be taken in Gaza, in AI, but it's not the same of taking a picture in Gaza by a real photographer. Both are equally good, but it's not the same, you see? Because art is not just a product, it's also the process, you see? So not totally bad news, believe me, bad news in many areas, I'm sure, and not totally bad news. But what you cannot do is to hide yourself and say, no, this is not for me. Okay, this is a tsunami. That's a tsunami. You want to skip the tsunami? You don't want to take care about the tsunami? Maybe you are going to discover yourself on the top of a palm tree, alone, and saying, what has happened? Or maybe you are going to be able to have an incredible future as an artist using traditional methods, because we are going to put that into that. So not necessarily bad news. I don't know if I'm, so, well, learning. We learn, okay, I'm going to speed up. This is something I have, this is how we simulate, somehow this is a simulation, just to make you to understand how we are able to train neural networks, okay? In order to make classification. We started with that, with classification. In 2012 was the very first time an artificial neural network was able to beat any other method in order to make image classification. So we have a short story, 14 years of success in artificial neural networks, okay? What happened is that we made the generative leap, not only classification, to generate things. And I'm going to try to explain to you how. Do you see this diagram? Do you see this diagram? So imagine that these dots, okay, these circles are neurons, artificial neurons, you know? This is called an autoencoder, okay? So we have some rows, you see, and we have a first part, we call it encoder, where in the first column, the first layer, we introduce the pixels of a cat. The pixels, the values, there are numerical values, you know? And what we do is to reduce little by little the number of neurons in each layer till we reach a specific number of neurons. This is a hyperparameter, we can decide it. This is called latent space. And then we do the other process. We start increasing the number of neurons till in the last layer, we have as many neurons as the input layer. The input layer is going to have as many neurons as pixels. The output layer is going to have as many neurons as pixels. You know? And we train this neural network with 1 million images of cats. And you know what we do? We send the first cat. When we send the first cat, the parameters of the neural network, how much importance, mathematically speaking, each neuron is going to pay attention to the inputs is going to be random, because we have no idea. It has to learn. And we start as ChatGPT, random parameters. It is not able to do anything interesting. We send the image of the cat. And you know what happens? The result we have in the other side, you know what it is? Gaussian noise. Because everything is random. The multiplications are with random numbers. So we reduce the number of information. Then we open to the same number of pixels of the input image. But the result, what you have in the right, is noise. Like this white noise, you know. And we say to the neural network, no. And we use our maths. Do you remember derivatives? When you were in the high school, derivatives, no? Derivatives. Oh my goodness. Derivatives. You know derivative what they are. Well, the maths that my students, they say, they discover that they are very useful. Because we say to the neural network, change a bit these random parameters so that the next time you are able to get something closer to the original cat and not this random noise. And we change a bit using maths, these parameters. Then the neural network has learned a bit. But imagine that I do that with 1 million images of cats. You know what happens? Little by little. Little by little, what happens is that when I send a picture of a cat, we are reducing the number of information, the amount of information in each column till we reach a bottleneck. This is called latent space. Then we open it again. And what we get, it cannot be the original cat, because we have from 1 million pixels to force a reduction to, let's say that in the middle you have only 50 neurons, to 50 numbers. And then from these 50 numbers, we have to open it and to recreate the cat again. So the neural network is going to do the best it can. The encoder to compress, the decoder, which is the right side, to decompress. And you know what happens in the latent space? It is learning what makes a cat numerically. So the cat you have in the other side is maybe blurry, or because you have compressed a lot and then try to recreate. The neural network tries to make the best, but it is not able to do it. However, after 1 million images, for example, you know what we do? We stop. And you know what we do? We cut that in the middle. And we get only the decoder. Do you know what happens when I send, in this moment, random numbers to the decoder? What happens to the other side? new cats appear. It has learned the decoder to paint a cat from random numbers. Welcome to creativity. You are going to have infinite number of new cats using random numbers. In this neural network, you are not going to find a cat, just parameters. No cats. No. But it is able to generate cats. Oh, if it is able. I bet you to prove the opposite. Okay? So we are cloning, believe it or not, this happens, the neuroscience is discovering that this is happening in your head. When you learn to paint, when you learn to write, when you learn to speak. This is the problem. From discriminative, we are generating. If we send 1 million images of horses, it is able to generate new horses. Never seen before. If we complement that with images and a text describing what is in the image, and we have thousands of millions of that, we create a painter. An artist able to paint what you put in the prompt, because the neural network learns the relationship between words, verbs, actions, objects, colors in the text, and what is going to happen, what has to happen in the image. You have created a painter. And no images are inside the neural network, I insist. Is it able to recreate Mona Lisa? Yes. So it's memorizing, because we can also memorize. If you see something quite a lot of times, when I'm training with cats, I repeat the same cat of the 1,100,000, this cat somehow is going to be much more memorized somehow in the neural network. But this is an error of ours in the training process. We try to skip it. We don't like to train our neural networks in a way where we have a lot of repeated elements, because what we are doing is losing generalization. Okay? So I'm sorry, this is not a database. And this is true, what you have here in this diagram, created by Nano Banana Pro, by the way, by AI. So I'm not I'm not creating a diagram anymore. Oh my. So yes, this is what we do. Okay? This is what we do. So I can show you this prompt. This is a prompt. And with a prompt, this is what I get. Nano Banana Pro. Make a comparison between how we learn in our biological brain and how it is in artificial neural networks. Enter. Output. You see? This is a Notebook LM is integrated, but it is using Notebook LM is using Nano Banana Pro, okay, which is the model that Google is using now, which is like the most powerful one, or one of the most powerful models in order to generate images of all kind. Okay. So yeah, they are not databases. I'm sorry. They are not databases. You are not going to find music in ChatGPT, or images, or in image generator, or music in Suno. The songs you have listened to, okay, in the videos that were generated by AI, this woman singing does not exist. This voice does not exist. Of course, we can clone voices, but it is not necessary. As a matter of fact, now we can create new voices by prompting. We can say, I want a voice that is a bit like this, a bit like that, a bit like whatever, like a prompt. And then you have the singer with this voice. Because it has listened to thousands of millions of hours of music, and it has learned not just to compose, but to imitate like a bird, like a parrot, to imitate instruments, voices, etc. Okay? And do you think that the only source of information of artificial neural network comes from humans? No. Welcome to the area of experience and the end of the area of data. Now, the data centers in China and USA, believe me, are training the neural networks with no human information, making the AI, the models, to experiment with digital twins of reality, new problems, so that by trial and error, using rewards and penalization, the neural networks are going to learn new reasoning ways of solving problems, new creativity paths without human contamination, because we call it like this, human contamination. If we want to break walls in science and in arts, like you say here in film, if you're cold and you pee, you get warm immediately, but after a while, you regret. Okay, with -20 or something. You know? With data and neural networks and human information, it happens the same. Now, the main, of course, information comes from real artists, real images, real science, real texts, real books. But this is changing. Now, the new models are making its own path, because we know that the only way to break the limitations of human beings is removing the human from the equation. Because when we introduce human information, we constrain the model. We make the model very similar to humans. And if we want new discoveries in science, new ways of reasoning, new art, that's not a good idea. We have to give freedom to this new entity. What a word, entity. You see, some colleagues say entity. You have already said to AI entity. Yes, entity. Oh. So you are not going to find text in ChatGPT. So call it alternative intelligence, alternative creativity, alternative. Because it's going to be different. If we want to clone a human, we have a better method, okay? You have one passion night with someone, and you are able to clone. After 9 months, you have a clone, you know, something like that, you know? So we have better methods, let's say, to clone a human. No, this is not going to happen. We are going to be different, okay? Because we are different, okay? Which doesn't mean that there's a wall in artificial intelligence. I'm sorry if I say to you that many of my colleagues in the Faculty of Fine Arts, they say, don't worry, AI is a tool, it's a tool, it's a tool, it's a tool, don't worry, it's a tool. It's not a tool. It is going to have autonomy. It is having autonomy. It is not a tool anymore. It can be a tool, of course, but it is not necessarily just a tool. Okay? So there's no way back. The very first moment that our ancestors took a stone and they discovered that with the stone they were able to do something, or a branch unable to collect fruits, the decision was made. We have to reach at artificial general intelligence and super intelligence. No one is going to stop that. I'm sorry. If you think this is going to happen, this is not going to happen. So what does it mean? That we are very close to the most important exam as a species. We can fuck it up or not. It's up to us. And not because it's going to have, such as Skynet, its own will, and it is going to decide to kill us. Before that, someone can use AI to really screw the world up. Okay, so we are facing this exam. This is true, and no one is going to stop it. I would like to stop many things as an AI researcher, but I tell you, this is not going to happen because no one is working in creating Skynet. I have some doctoral students, and they are working in very specific problems. Science is the sum of various little discoveries here, there, here, there, here, there, here, there. So there's no one creating Skynet in Terminator. But this is synergistically going to happen, or what it's going to happen, it will happen. So you cannot say, stop AI research. You know that there are some open letters saying, stop AI research. And we laugh at that. Not because we don't empathize or we understand what they say. My goodness, of course, because it's silly. Because this is not how we work. Because when we decided to do something with our hands, and that was an advantage in the evolution of the human being, we made the decision. And there's no way back. So yes, are you familiar with this game? How is this game called? No one? Go, an Asian game. It is played in China and Asia for 3,000 years. It is much complex than chess. Much. Okay, in number of combinations, etc. Someone can tell me what happens in 2016? One of the most important, I can see the chat, one of the most important milestones of humanity. And you don't even know what the game Go is. And in 2016, it happened something much more important than the discovery or when our Spanish Columbus landed in America. Much important than the discovery maybe of the fire. Lee Sedol, the best player in the world, was defeated by AlphaGo. This new AI by Demis Hassabis. Nobel Prize in 2024 because of AlphaFold. I'm going to talk about it. And you know what did AlphaGo? Second match, movement 37. You can go to YouTube and AlphaGo with PH. Okay? Demis Hassabis. 200 million people watching on live this match, Asian people. Okay? Movement 37, second match. AlphaGo says, this white stone here. All the experts the best players in the world, laugh. Wow! What the This is the proof AI is still very, very long to defeat 3,000 years of the most complex, incredible game that it is compulsory in China as a way to understand the strategy and the philosophy of the Asian world. Okay? Lee Sedol smile a bit. After 10 seconds, stop smiling. But all the experts, After the movement 37, 38, 39, the faces of all the experts changed. And they said, what the fuck? In 3,000 years, no one was able to make this movement and to discover a totally new, never explored by a human tactic before. Novelty. Is AI creative or not? 3,000 years of the best minds in the world thinking on the game, they said, oh my. And the game has changed forever. The people that still plays Go, they use this technique. Okay, this kind of strategy. Yes. So beyond collaboration, be sure. Unexpected similarities. Be sure. Differences, but similarities. We can make the most of the two, okay? And this is what we have to do, okay? This is the emergent abilities. You know what was an emergent ability? We discovered that it was able to translate between languages. In GPT-1, you don't remember that because maybe you remember GPT 3.5, but we remember GPT-1 and other models before this, okay? When we discovered that just reading this fucking neural network was able to translate, we said, what? How has learned to translate? Because there are texts, equivalent texts in different languages, and learns patterns. It learned to translate, no explicit information. Emergent abilities. And we have surprises every single week. Good and bad. Not all are good. There are some bad emergent abilities that you say, what the fuck? Okay? And the reason, because it's trained with human data. And because it's trained with human data, it's reading the good and the bad. And it is able to blackmail you. It is able to lie to you, to think one thing and say another. And not because it has consciousness, not yet, so far, wow, as far as we know, because it has read as much information from human that it has learned our patterns, the good patterns and the bad patterns. Human contamination, and this is the reason we are trying to skip data, human data. And now you know multimodality. We can produce video. You have seen this video. You know what? It is possible to generate now this video in real time. You know what? These videos you have seen, real time with interaction. You can be in front of Netflix very soon and say, okay, a new season of Star Trek, and I want Spock to have an affair with Captain Kirk. And they kiss each other, and they have a very interesting life in the planet, whatever. Make some episodes, and leave me to interact with the characters. you are going to see that. Can you imagine how many creativity is going to give you this possibility? Can you imagine how incredible possibilities you are going to have as the new wave of creators? Okay, I'm going to skip this. And this is creativity, okay? In the dictionary, you are going to see that it is defined as something novel and useful. This is the definition. Useful, pay attention to that, okay? Because not only because solves problems, but because awakes emotion, okay? Or thoughts, or inspire actions, okay? So, of course, art is creativity, of course, okay? Novel means that it has to be able to break pure repetition. And believe me, you are not going or to stop generating new images if you want in an AI model, okay? So somehow, a practical definition of creative agency, okay, means that AI, talking about AI, it has to be different in ways that matter, okay? And this is happening. It has to surprise. It's happening. Value, to have a value, okay? And unfortunately, this is the case. And attributable to the systems process, okay? Which means that we are not saying every single pixel what happens with it. We send, for example, a prompt, and the magic starts. And with just a few words, something happens, okay? You know that creativity is different in different areas. We have different creativities, okay? They are not two identical human beings, okay? And I'm very bad at music, but I like to listen to music, for example. I'm very good at maths. I'm very good, always I have been very good at maths. I still draw people with a circle, a line, and two lines. I'm not able to draw anything interesting, okay? I have been like this since I was a child, okay? So we have different creativities, and of course, because there are some, we share the same brain and architecture, but there are not two brains identical, okay? Of course, then you can work that. So creativity is nothing that you burn with and you're incredible always. No, you have to practice, you have to exercise, you have to learn, okay? But you need some innate, okay, qualities. So creativity, is AI creative? Boden's taxonomy of creativity, one of the most important in psychology. They say in the paper, creativity can be combinational, exploratory, or transformational. Oh my God. Creativity is not binary. Intelligence is not binary. You have it or not? No. You have a taxonomy and you have levels. This is gray. Welcome. So we cannot say AI is not creative, at least following science. Because combinational, send this as a prompt, create an image, go to ChatGPT or Gemini. 75% Picasso and 25% Joan Miró, two Spanish painters, okay? And I want this. Look the result. Combinational. Exploratory. Exploratory means you are good at jazz. Every single piece of jazz has been composed? No. Jazz has some very well-known rules, boundaries, but we can explore it. AI is able to do that fantastically. The problem is the third one, transformational. This is where AI is having problems so far. Okay, but this is the important creativity. Picasso and Cubism. Nothing similar before. Surprising, new, novel, never seen before. No contamination. Something that you say, what? This is the challenge. But the other two, oh my God. And also this creativity in this paper, they say that it can be classified as psychological creativity. So for you, something can be really creative, and for another group of people, cannot be. And historical creativity. Movement 37 in AlphaGo, historical creativity. No one in 3,000 years was able to do that. As Picasso. AlphaFold, the same guy, Demis Hassabis, Nobel Prize 2024, was able to solve one of the most incredible things that are going to change medicine, health, the prediction of the 3D shape of a protein from the sequence of amino acids. And you say, well, you cannot imagine how this is going to change the world. You know how much time was required to just predict a three-dimensional shape of a protein? Just one year, one PhD, from $100,000 to $150,000. One Demis Hassabis with this, 200 million. Now, if you make your numbers, you're going to see that the time the 8,000 million people in the planet thinking on solving totally this problem, the time is about thousands of years. In 2024, solved. We don't have enough cognitive power to solve the problems of the planet. Have you listened to me? We have not enough cognitive power to solve the problems we are facing. You want to stop having illnesses, cancer, viruses? We cannot solve it. We need thousands of years. We need AI. And now, make your numbers. And now let's talk about the energy consumption of the data centers. And then let's talk about just this milestone in 2024. Thousands of years solved like this. $100,000 per protein. 200 million solved. Make numbers. Of these researchers taking the car every day going to the workplace. Make numbers of consumption, energy consumption, pollution, contamination. Make numbers. Of course, we live in the capitalism. An OpenAI that someone said, I'm going to solve cancer. And now we have a lot of data centers making videos in Sora 2, Sora 2. And we say, Sam, what the fuck? We're supposed to solve cancer. And we have a lot of data centers consuming a lot of information, making videos in Sora 2 platform, funny videos of people making stupid things. And you say, and some says, I need money. Do you want to give me the money for the cancer? Give me. But I need money. So we say, okay, we are humans. We are very bad. Very, I don't know. We are a virus somehow, no, in this planet. We are like this. And now, instead of having data centers, we have data centers solving problems, okay? But we have also data centers making stupid videos in Sora 2. Because they need to get money to get data centers and to solve all the problems. Human beings. Have you seen Omnibus? Is this Omnibus, Pluribus? What is the series of Netflix? This series of Netflix where a virus arrives to the planet. Have someone says so? No, you have to watch it in Netflix.
It's on Apple TV.
Yes, in Apple TV. Pluribus. Okay, so there's an alien virus that colonized the Earth, except 11, I think. Well, I don't want to do a spoiler, but it's in the first episode anyway. And everyone makes us a collective mind, and we are all good, efficient, and so on, except some elements. And they say we have lost our identity as humans. So it's incredible. It's very related with this of AI, okay? The landmark, okay? This is Lysidol, poor guy, okay? Another classification of creativity, Begetto and Kaufman paper, the 4C model, okay? Mini C, little c, pro C, big C. And big C is Einstein and relative theory, Picasso, okay? So how far are we? You see that there's a gradient. So we cannot say AI is or not creative, at least from the psychological point of view, from the psychology. Because minus C is easy, little c is easy, pro C, we have a lot of examples, and we have some big C. Movement 37 is big C. AlphaFold is big C. We have sparks. The thing is, for how long they are going to be sparks? And this is going to be a constant production of new things, big C. So we are like more or less like this. So we are about 100% mini C, little c, 75% about pro C, and just scratching the surface of big C, where we are the pinnacle still. We are still the number ones. For how long? Who knows? Another thing that you have to take into account, creatio ex nihilo, Latin, creation from nothing. Any of you have been in a cave, black cave, all their life, and has decided today to come here? Someone? You have lived, no? You go to exhibitions, you watch social networks, you watch movies, you listen to music. Oh my, you are also contaminated with human data. Oh, you are contaminated with human data. So your creativity maybe is not big C. Maybe any of you is going to be big C creativity, including myself. Because this is only Picasso, Einstein, you know? Oh, what a surprise.
Well, could be because of, I'm not sure, it was good artists did copy and great artists still. I mean, he fucking knew it himself.
Yeah,
Really-
Picasso said that. Yeah. So, oof. And you know what? We are the same thing. We are discovering the neuroscience of creativity. Look, in your brain, you have two main collection of blocks. One it is called the default mode network, and the other is called the executive control network. It is here, okay? When you are daydreaming, you are in S market, buying chocolate, pasta, chocolate. You think you're not doing anything. No, this is the most important moment of creativity. Because when you are daydreaming, a very important part of your brain is working. You know how? Randomness. It combines randomly concepts, ideas based on your experiences. Combines. Random exploration. And from time to time, the DMN says, Q to the executive control. And the executive control says, what the fuck? What the fuck? Next. Oh, this is interesting. And you are in this market and you say, oh, I have an idea. No, there's no angels coming, flying, and saying, I'm the muse, your inspiration. And an idea is going on. No, neuroscience is saying no. Neuroscience is proving that you are constantly ping, boom, pam. Neurodivergency, thought, divergent thinkers, convergent thinkers. You're familiar with that? You have it. And we are cloning that in AI. We are much more closer than you think. Okay? So randomness. The good ideas comes from random combinations that takes place in an unconscious way in your mind. Pure random. The only way to create something new is by combining randomly concepts, ideas, styles, concepts, to work, to play. And from time to time, there are very interesting things that you can see in the fMRI devices that goes to here. And here, the executive control says, boss, wake up, an interesting idea. You're in the S market and you say, what? Have you ever asked yourself why you have a good idea? And in which situations normally? Of course, there's a work you have to explore, there's a system 2, we call it, process, okay, that you have to deal with that. Your experiences are important. And your experiences come from your work also. If you are in an artistic environment or scientific environment, you get a lot of knowledge, experiences. So your default mode network has more chances to produce knowledge. If you are looking at the lake in the harbor all the day, your brain says, what the DMN, the default mode network says, I cannot combine too much, okay? You see? So, yeah, it happens. I'm going to go fast, sorry. I'm going to skip some of the, because I want to to show you something. Well, you know that if you are in the artistic world and you think you are being the target of AI and the most, let's say, the professionals that are going to suffer the most, you are wrong. You are wrong. The artistic world is going to be affected, by sure, but you are lucky, my students, that they are not here. They are fucked up. In 3 years, 20% less programmers hired. In 3 years of ChatGPT, do you think illustrators are fucked up? Designers are fucked up? See the data, and you will see mathematicians, programmers, people in statistics, and very soon, scientists. And you know why? Because in this way, we have to train the neural networks to find their own new paths. Maths, physics, programming, we have a target, an objective, which is objective. But art is subjective. We cannot just create random things if no one likes it. The target, what says we like it or not, are we humans? And this is very difficult to put it into the training. But we have options, of course, as you know. But it's much difficult, okay? Because it's subjective, okay? However, we have something called reinforcement learning with human feedback or from human feedback. It's like Spotify. How Spotify knows the music you like? Because it's able to get your pattern. Because your interaction, when you say, I like it, or I put this song in a playlist or whatever, says, TikTok. The time you are watching something, the milliseconds, you are watching something is crucial. How long it takes you, okay? When a girl appears to me dancing, I try to be very fast, but it seems not to be fast enough. Because TikTok from time to time shows me a girl dancing. So I have to be faster. Why? Because it's using this technique, reinforcement learning from human feedback. Neural networks watching us and getting knowledge from us. If you have a partner or your parents, can you verbalize how they are in a paper? Well, more or less. Now give this paper to a third person. And let's say to this third person, how this partner, father, mother, whoever, is going to react in front of that. This person has the paper, okay? Verbalized. Well, I think he's going to do this, or she is going to do this. What do you think is going to happen? The result is going to be better, the third person with the verbalization of the description of the person, or the person who has been lived many years, shoulder by shoulder, with that someone. We cannot verbalize everything. Why? Because the knowledge we get from the people goes where? Synaptic neuroplasticity. The knowledge comes here. The patterns of the person comes here. And we cannot verbalize them. If you ask Spotify, why are you suggesting me this song? It's a black box. It's an artificial neural network. It's parametric knowledge. It's intuition, but in numbers. So yes, we can train artificial neural networks to create new art and then put this art in front of people and see the reaction, as TikTok does. So we can get the pattern of a specific group of populations so that we can create novel art, knowing that we have a high probability that this is going to fit the interest of someone. Yeah. And believe me, indistinguishable, this is happening. Blind tests of images, music, videos, little by little, we are reaching the 50%. However, remember, in arts, one thing is the product, the other thing is the process. Here we are talking just the product. Okay? But it's doing it very well. In text, art, music, and also science. Believe me, in science as well. Last week, no, 2 weeks ago, GPT 5.2 Pro was able to solve some of the Erdos problems. And you say, well, these problems had no previous solution, mathematical problems. So there's no human data contamination. You cannot say, well, it has solved this problem because it has read something similar and it is applying this pattern to solve this problem. The problem was novel. That happened last week. Terence Tao, the best mathematician in the world, said, this is novel. And there's no human mathematician contamination. The resolution of the demonstration is novel. We are reaching this point. First, maths, physics, programming, and science. Very soon, other fields. However, this is not saying, I'm not saying we are going to be useless. No, we have another actor. You can cooperate with this actor. Or not. But this actor has autonomy. But it's different. Alternative creativity. So, yeah, we are living an incredible moment for me, okay? I'm sure this is a bit polemic, okay? But I think that those who surf the wave of AI are going to have incredible opportunities, okay? Or those who want to stick to traditional art, their production is going to have more value because it's going to be human. And I'm going to pay more because it's human. Because I like, as I like theater, live music, etc. So I'm not saying we are useless. No, but I don't want to lie to you. I'm not going to say to you, AI is a tool. Don't worry. It's not creative. Don't worry. It's only based on human information. Don't worry. It has sailing. It cannot go beyond the sailing. No, it can. It will. It is doing that. Now, basically in science. Very soon, in whatever. So AI is going to replace my creative work. Well, low price work, maybe, yeah. Many people are going to be some task displacement, work displacement, yeah, including my students, ICT students. We have to learn other skills. We have always managed to do that. Anyway, who knows the future? Okay, you know that people are talking about universal basic income and these kind of things. Okay, who knows? But of course, AI multiplies you. I'm Super Jordi now. 5 years ago, I was Jordi Linares. I'm now Super Jordi Linares. You cannot imagine what I'm able to do now compared to 5 years ago. I'm the same man, but with AI, I have superpowers. If I compare myself with myself 5 years ago, well, in production, quality of the production, efficiency, creativity, happiness. A Stanford, Harvard study proved that teams working with ChatGPT were more efficient, effective, and happy. You know why? You know the answer? We were less time in front of the fucking computer. We were able to wake up, to stand up, and to talk with colleagues, and to talk with the clients, and to talk with the provider. If every day I was 6 hours in front of the computer, now I'm 1. The remainder time, I'm doing what I like the most as human. This was an example in a specific area. What means is that AI can also make us more humans and happier. So it's not everything bad. There are good things. There are bad things, yes, but what are the bad things? That when I created my own company, I remember to pay 3,000 euros for the corporate image. And by no means now I'm going to pay 3,000 euros for a corporate image in another company. I'm sorry. You want to kill me? Kill me. But if you create a little company, if I'm Apple Inc. and I use AI to generate the new logo, whatever, kill Tim Cook. But a little company, you're going to go to the little company and you're going to say, I'm going to kill you. Because now you are not hiring a designer for 3,000 euros. And these people is clapping. We have to compensate creators. And in the theater, the people are saying, yes, you're right. And the moment they are back at home, they say, I need a new logo, 3,000 euros. ChatGPT, I need a new logo. And they were clapping. This is how we are. You know, this is what we are. Don't cheat. This is what we are. And you are going to say, no, I don't want AI to make illustration. And then with just a prompt, with your illustration, your guidance with your style, you create an incredible website with ChatGPT, whatever, you're going to say, hey. And you're not going to think of my students, that they are learning web designing, programming. Poor, my students. We are all creators. We are all in the same bag. But it's good news. We have new possibilities. Believe me. Call it alternatives, not artificial. This is my thesis. alternative creativity is going to be always different. You know, AI is like, I not want to use this word in a bad sense, okay? Like to be autistic. You mean that you learn only looking internet now. We are better because we are in the physical world, okay? But remember, this is not a wall. This is going to change. So we have a new actor. You like it or not? You can collaborate with it or to avoid it completely. But it is going to be also autonomous. Don't hesitate it. Soon you are going to see illustration, paintings, music, all sorts of experiences created from scratch by AI without any preliminary prompt or whatever, following its own path. Testing with us, because in arts, we are going to use techniques such as reinforcement learning from human feedback. It cannot create random noise. We are the receivers, and we are going to say, I like it or not. But it is going to happen. And it is going to know us. It already knows us better than ourselves. Okay? So the future, now I'm finishing. If you have questions, I'm losing my voice. So, yeah, open-endedness techniques. So yes, we are exploring this. I'm guilty. I'm working on this field as well. This is something I like. To break the boundaries of AI, generative AI. Okay? Open exploration, reinforcement learning with human feedback. So the era of human data is not dying. Human data is going to be always necessary. We are the target. But welcome to the area of experience, where AI is learning in digital twins, very soon in robotics, its own path. It's going to experiment by itself, and it is going to get new things. It has already started, and this is going to be the future. We know that in order to achieve artificial general intelligence, this is the way. Okay? So we have some examples in science. The Voyager, the AI scientist, AlphaGo. I'm 55. I'm sure I'm not going to get retired researching or being better than AI in researching. I'm quite sure. You know why? I have the 220 euro subscription to OpenAI in the group. We pay it. So we have ChatGPT 5.2 Pro. Oh my. Wow moments there are things that we, the team, we are 4 people, very brilliant people. First of promotions I have as doctorate students. And sometimes we have the feeling that not how long it could take us to solve the problem, even if we could be able to solve it. And we are in front of this model and we say, what the fuck? After 20 minutes of thinking. So I'm quite sure we are going to face a quite important transformation, okay? So do you remember the autoencoder, okay, and the latent space? This is what we do now, okay? So we can identify all the art generated by humans, and we can see when we encode it into just 50 numerical values or 100, we can put that into clouds, and you can see impressionism, you can see cubism, you can see, so you can see that what the neural network has learned, okay, can be codified internally by a collection of numbers, a vector, we call it embedding in the latent space. And in the clouds, okay, we have the similarities of all the romantic art or impressionism. And you know what we can do? Remember the autoencoder. We can generate random numbers inside one cloud. So we are generating new work impressionism, for example. Or we can interpolate. We can go from one style to the other. Okay? And yeah, somehow we are cloning the process of creativity, okay, we have in our own brain, using this default mode network and executive control. We are doing that. What you have in the right is the diffusion model architecture, neural network architecture, that is the one is behind the creation of this image. So this image has been created by a neural network you have on the right column, okay, diffusion model. And you know what we are doing? To escape the boundaries of humans, even in art. And the problem is that if we escape, we start generating art that we don't know if it is going to be interesting or not for humans. So we use reinforcement learning from human feedback to know if someone is interested or not. In order to what? To create new styles. With not random. Do you remember the monkey, the monkey? Okay, not random, no. With somehow of anchors to what humans like. We are doing this. Does it mean it's going to make new creators, illustrators, designers useless? No. You have just another alternative creativity, another actor, that's all. And it is going to have body. Very soon it's going to have body. And we are going, but now even we have digital twins. We put them into a simulation of the world, and they interact with the simulation of the world. We don't need even to make the robots. When the robots are produced, and you see them dancing and doing things, first, they have been training their skills in digital environment. So there's no need to build a robot and make it to collide to everywhere in order to learn whatever. No, this is the last step. Okay? So digital twins, we have them. And it is learning word models. Do you remember the videos at the very beginning? Do you remember the hair of the girl and the clothes and the bed? Watching videos, the models have learned gravity and how the hair behaves. 60 frames per second. Do you know any hyper-realistic artist able to create frame by frame one of the videos I have shown you at the very beginning? There's gravity, clothes, people dancing, lights, reflections. There's a mirror, and you have the reflection in the mirror. The neural network is dreaming that. How? As a hyper-realistic painter, but frame by frame. Why? Is learning word models. Is learning how the world behaves even without being in the world. Hallucinations. Why in video and images? Because it is not really experimenting the real world. There's still a gap. And this is why you have hallucinations in arts. Okay? So forget the idea. This is the very last slide. I told you. Oh my goodness. So forget the idea of AI as just a tool, because this is not the case. Okay? It can be a tool. You can skip it totally as far as you are aware of what is going on. So read and watch. Don't be in another parallel world. Okay? Know what is going on. But you can still stick to the traditional methods. I'm sure this is going to be worth, and it is going to have its value. Okay? Of course, the best of the creators, of course, in this field, I can imagine. Okay? But forget the idea that this is just a tool. Okay? It can be a tool. We can work together. Or sooner than later, you're going to see that we are going to have new advancements in this autonomous way towards creativity in every domain. Now is science, programming, maths. You are not the designers, illustrators. You are not the main target. You think are the main target? No, because it's subjective. Maths are objective. Programming, ChatGPT creates a program, can validate if the program runs or not, and to program again. But ChatGPT generates an image. Is this image going to be liked by humans or not? It needs the feedback of the humans. In maths, programming, physics, we don't need the interaction of the validation of humans. It can be validated. You run the program does what it has to do. No, ChatGPT generates another one. And it learns from the mistakes without human interaction. But in arts, it's much difficult. But it is going to happen. Okay? So now what? What do you think? This is the last slide. Okay? So now what? Okay? Is AI creative or not? Well, if we follow the psychology papers, it is. For me, of course it is. Maybe I have changed your mind. Maybe I didn't change your mind. I don't know. But a bit of everything. Optimism, but also some, of course, pessimism in some areas. That's true. We are facing something new. Totally new. We are not prepared for that as a species. But there's no way back. There's no red button to hit. This is going to happen. Okay? It's happening. Okay? So embrace it if you like it. Don't embrace it if you don't like it. But do not ignore it. Don't say that, well, this is a fashion, or Europe is going to regulate and it's going to make it so that it's not going to be possible to this. There's no barriers. The AI Act regulation is bullshit. Not because the intention is bad. The intention is perfect. But it's like a fish network, not just trying to avoid little fishes. No, they want to retain the water. It's not possible. We have open models, remember. So we cannot necessarily have bad guys, such as Google, Meta, or OpenAI. So it's difficult. And many people is saying, and this is for me very, very annoying. They say they defend creators. They say that they want a reward to creators, that they have to be paid. Even knowing that this material is not in the neural network, that it has left the pattern, They say, give me money. Universal Music Group has achieved that. Money from the big ones. And they say to creators, you see, you can be rewarded. They are lying to you. Because the only ones that are going to receive €1 by the end of the year are going to be the same people. Shakira. You are not going to receive nothing unless you are someone really, really great. And great means a lot of information in internet of your work, not the quality. I'm seeing books saying this book cannot be used in order to train the neural networks. And I say, come on, what do you think you are? Shakespeare? Terabytes of information is what the neural network reads. Do you think it's going to retain something because reading your book? Do you think you are going to be rewarded? 0.00000000000. This is the weight of your book in the training of the neural network. But the people that is in the middle, look who they are. Big lawyer companies, Universal, Warner Music. The big companies, the same people with another mask. And they say, no, no, we have to fight for the intellectual property. You have to be rewarded. You have to receive money. Come with me. Put your artwork under the umbrella of because I have achieved an agreement with Google. Make numbers, and you're going to see what you receive. The same amount of money that I receive in my Spotify channel. Nothing. Do you understand? Be critic. Be critic with me. But be critic also with those that are saying they are in your side. They are not. Some of them, they are not. They want to be the man in the middle. Okay? And Shakira, Julio Iglesias, which is now famous in Spain because of the reasons. Famous people. The same. I don't follow too much the most popular people. The popular people, not the quality of the work. Because it's quantity, not quality, what it matters. And this is not putting into weight the real art. Questions? Question.
You AI gaining autonomy. As creative people, as people create and design, I think we can all agree that we carry responsibility for the things that we do. But so far, it doesn't seem that AI takes accountability itself, carries the responsibility. So do you think it's important to focus on how do we ensure that AI, as it gains autonomy, also gains the ability to take
For sure. The problem is that when you have something at home installed in your computer, it's going to be difficult. In big companies, it's going to be easier, but for sure. And people are talking even about, this is a very challenging thing. Imagine autonomous cars, okay? And you're in Tesla, totally autonomous. I was in China, and you cannot think, well, this was incredible, okay? Autonomous cars, autonomous trucks, autonomous bikes, these bikes that you cannot, they have two wheels, but you cannot make them, they have this gyroscope or whatever. So it was shocking to see a motorbike alone, really? What? It's a bike? What's going on? This is the a ghost? I don't know. So if you hit someone and someone dies or have an accident, because who is responsible for that? So you can see a chain that you can say, well, I'm just the owner of the Tesla. But maybe when you sit in the Tesla, you are asked, in front of a critical situation, I kill the one in front or I kill yourself. So, I mean, I leave the road and I go to, you're going to, or I'm going to collide with the people. Maybe you're going to be in this position where you're going to have a panel where you're going to be asked. Because Elon Musk is not going to make this decision for you. So accountability is important. And some insurance companies, they are taking that into account. They are saying, wow, 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 this is a new business. This is a new business. For example, that we create AI tools. Do you want an insurance so that even in the case you do the things properly, if something happens, not because you haven't done a mistake, you have done the things good, but something happens, this accountability is going to be. But when it gets autonomy, wow, I cannot imagine this scenario. I cannot imagine a robot getting autonomy, total autonomy, and violating the Asimov rules and killing people. Of course, it has to have accountability. Someone has to have accountability. And we have to make whatever to avoid this situation, of course.
Are there plans for people?
Yeah, a group of people working on that. However, the governments in Brussels, the EU regulators, they don't even know what an artificial neural network is, and they are regulating. Because we were in Brussels trying to explain to the people the things, and they thought, and you say, what you are regulating? You must understand what is this about? No,
Thirty.
accountability.
I think I will stop the recording now.
So feel